Rob, answer this phone, man. Answer this phone, bro. I need to talk to you for a minute. Hello. What up? I just need to talk to you for a minute.
Let's talk about the most important woman in your life right now, Emma.
Emma? Is she the most important woman in my
Well,
life?
okay, maybe.
No.
From my observations and my interactions with you and your family, Emma seems to be, the center of things. And I remember very clearly early on in our working relationship, everything ran through Emma. You were the construction guy, but payments, quotes, everything ran through Emma. And I remember you distinctly saying something like she was the force, or she's the machinery. So, and as I've gotten to know her, she's very impressive. I've always enjoyed talking to her. She's straight up, and she's got your back too, which I think is great. But she's your wife. She's the mother of your children and your business partner. And is she your best friend too?
I would say no, she's not my best friend.
Okay.
But I have a best friend, and her name is Shauna. But Emma is someone that is so important to me. Best way I can describe Emma is she's perfect.
That's impressive.
And because she's perfect, she'll let things happen to her that are not perfect. She'll put up with shit she shouldn't. She'll love so deeply and care and trust so much, she'll leave herself in bad situations. And that's how I come to even be with Emma. Because I know a guy that she was fooling with back in the day, and he was doing things to her that you shouldn't do to any woman. And I come to hear about it through talking to Emma. She worked in the mall, and I would go in there, and for some reason we got into conversations and different stuff. And I also met her through my cousin Lincoln. So we were talking. I was hearing about her. I knew stuff. She was open up to me about some things that was going on in her life. And when she told me this certain thing, it was just like something snapped. No one knew. She wasn't telling nobody. She's holding this to herself. Wow. Being, So I didn't know at the time that I was coming to the rescue of my wife. I didn't know at the time. Emma's been a person that's been there for me unselfishly and stayed in time she shouldn't have stayed. She's been the forgiveness that I needed to see. But she didn't have to make it through. She didn't have to even be here right now. She left herself in some shit. I talk about that gentleman, but she left herself in situations with me that she could have lost her life. There were times that I've hit her in the head with a beer, with bottles, wine bottles. But I really say that about Emma because she was something I needed. Even us coming together to be married, and we ended up getting married. We'll get to it, but it kind of worked its life in my life through Emma. And even when we planned to get married, we figured out how much money we needed, and a few friends were helping us and what we needed for food and the location and stuff. I got a call to go price a job when I went and priced a job in Spryfield. And when we figured it all out, and she wasn't working for me at the time then, when I figured it all out and we figured the price out and we got the price from we needed for the wedding, it was the exact money. It was exact.
Kismet.
So there's something, people like to say God, but I like to call it. It's been working in my life. And I have a tattoo on my shoulder of an angel. She's my angel. She's been there. So she's more than a friend to me. She's someone that if she wasn't in my life, I wouldn't have life. She's
sounds like she's got a lot of influence and been a big influence in helping you develop as you.
And when I say she's perfect, she's so perfect. She's the kind of person, if you don't see her and take time to protect her and love her where she needs it, she'll let other things happen to her. And I realized about it. I said, you know what? I want to be in your life because I don't want no one ever touching her again. I don't want no one ever putting her in fear again. Lots of times I became the idiot, but I was like out of control and drinking liquor and mixing other drugs with it and getting mad. I was a time bomb that could go off any time. And
This is before you started Resurrection Properties?
oh yeah, I've had a good 5 other businesses.
Oh, really?
Resurrection was one that I was also ruining because of the maybe doing okay work, but the finances and dealing with the government and all that, nothing getting paid on time. And then Emma leaving her job that she had and come,
Yeah.
she turned the company around. You know, it's one thing to have to do the work, but when you're dealing with the government and payroll and all that stuff and bills, that takes a different kind of smarts. And,
No, yeah.
and she does that.
I think you guys have been well run. And again, any of my interactions that I've had on a professional level has been excellent. You know, I love the fact you keep your trucks clean, your guys show up on time, and the communication is important. And you know, I know Emma is a big part of that stuff too. But I also know that you're pretty tidy on the trucks, keeping the guys, making sure it's clean. But
Yeah,
we'll get to that in a little bit.
No, I said that stuff about her, and I don't want to put her stuff on the street too much. Is that
No.
the women in my life are quite important, and there's other women like Shakshana.
Yeah.
She's very important to me.
Yeah, I've met
Very.
her. She seems excellent person as well, and just seems to have a nice, positive, calming influence on you as well.
Yeah, I mean, now when you say like best friend, I would consider her my best friend
Yeah.
because I can tell her stuff about my wife. I can tell her when my kids are getting on my nerves, and also if I got a problem, like if I had a problem, says, cause we had similar backgrounds, like, you know, kind of met out in the streets and stuff.
Who, Shauna?
Yeah.
Okay.
She wasn't quite doing everything I was doing, but she was hanging with the crowd. And we became friends then, you know. We would hang out a lot and do different stuff, you know. There were times, you know what I mean, we weren't sexually into it. We've had been together sexually, but we wouldn't sexually at the time. We would hang out for hours and hours. I'd fall asleep laying on her. She'd fall asleep laying on me. She'd do my nails, do my feet. We'd talk. And if I had a problem with somebody who's going to deal with it, she was stronger than most men. She would want to come and be right there too. So she became someone in my life that I tried to not be in her life lots of times, but we kept coming back together because it was more than a sexual thing. We were actually friends. We actually cared about each other.
How does Emma feel about that?
Emma and Sean are actually pretty good friends too. How she feels about it, she says she's fine with it. But being a man and being a woman, I imagine she has her things about it.
Well, especially considering your past history too, is that, you know.
Yeah. But with my wife and any woman, I was used to being with 5 or 6 women all the time. This is not a strange thing for Emma to know I'm with other women. But and be gone for 5 days, 4 days, and no hear from me. And she knew I'd be with other women. So it's not that she didn't know my lifestyle.
Yeah.
But to have someone like Shauna there is a difference because she's not just another woman. She is my friend. She's done a lot for me. A lot of the same things Emma done, and then she did a lot for my children. A lot they don't even know. You know, there was time that she helped me pay my rent. You know, and so there's a lot of things she's done. And one thing I like to say about Shauna, we're best friends. And any best friend, whether it's 2 men or 2 women, they're gonna have secrets. Because people will say, "Oh, well, you're still sleeping with her, you're still doing that." Who cares what you think? But as best friends, we're always gonna have secrets. You know, and I value her friendship. And Emma's come to realize that because times that me and Shauna wasn't speaking and trying to be away from, I'd be miserable.
Yeah.
And come to find out from her, she'd be miserable. You know, and me and her have things that we went through. And I got to tell you a little bit more about Emma.
Sure.
Because I mentioned that it was a time that we had been drinking at a place we had, sitting around. Some people were there, and then I ended up. There was 2 girls. There was 2 girls there with me. One of the girls I was actually fooling with and there's there, and Emma kind of picked up on that. And then when I was leaving to go get in my truck and take off, she's like, "Where you going?" And I said, "I'm just going." And she actually hauled off and smacked me. So I took a bottle that was close by that I actually had in my hand and hit her in the head with it. Sorry, Miss Davies. Mr. Davies, I hear the story, but I hit her in the head with it, and then she was bleeding, and she had to go in the house, and noise was being made, and Noah, my youngest son, he was kind of crying or whatever.
So you'd already had Noah at that point in time.
Yeah, she was crying or whatever, and he seen Mom was upset, and somehow or another, at some point, Noah was taught call the police, dial 911. It was he learned it in school or whatever, and that's what he ended up doing. He ended up doing. By the time the police got there, me and Emma was back upstairs, and I was trying to help her get cleaned up or whatever. But when the police showed up, I heard the sirens, and I kind of freaked out. I'm telling you, I like to say it, and I hope we get to what it is in my life. It has always been there at many times, and Emma being in my life, she is a special person. Yes, her life could have been taken that night. We've talked about that. I ended up going to the window. I smashed the window out, and I threw a football at the policeman. And then I went downstairs, and they got all the guns out, and they're saying, "Stop." And I'm walking towards them, cursing at them, saying whatever I want to say. They're saying, "Stop, get down, stop." I walked right past them, opened the police door, and got in myself. They didn't even shoot me. I wanted them to shoot me. But my mind would just, at times, just leave me. I just would be angry beyond control.
Wow.
And, and that's the time with her. And then the time with Shauna. Shauna was also very close to me, and she knew I fooled with a lot of different girls, and a lot of them, she didn't like them, right? We was hanging out and stuff, and I happened to be sitting around drinking one day, and I went to the bathroom, and I came back, and some girl I had been fooling with called my phone. And she got the number and realized it was a girl and who the girl was, and she got mad. But because we had been drinking, I didn't want her to drink and drive, and she tried to leave the house. And she's going to jump in the car. And we had been drinking all day.
Yeah. So
she was really buzzed and really mad. And then, so quick idea is, if you're not going to stay, well, I'm going to pop the tire. I'm going to blow your tire so you can't drive off. So I had grabbed a knife to do that. But when I went outside and walked toward her and told her, "She's going to stop, where you going at? You're not going to take the car. I'm going to pop the tire." She started wailing on me, hitting me, saying you're an idiot and stuff and all this stuff. So just fighting me. That our relationship got very terrible. We didn't have a relationship after that. We didn't hang out no more. Yeah, she even put a peace bond on me. So peace bond that we agreed to. Yeah, we both agreed to. Went in and got it signed up and stay away. And it wasn't. It wasn't until a time we didn't talk. I tried to get in touch with her and stuff. She didn't want to talk to me, but we didn't want to. She didn't talk to me until I got put on conscious, hit going in a bar from another incident I was dealing with. And when she seen me laying on the ground, because it was put on Snapchat, and when she seen me laying on the ground, and this was months after we had our incident, she seen me laying on the ground, she forgot about what she had went through, and she cared about me.
How long ago was that episode with Shauna and Emma?
The one with Emma was over 20 years ago.
Okay.
The one with Shauna was more around 10. So Emma was still in my life. So it was just like that kind of love, to be mad at me for different things and confused about different things. But these two women, to see that that's someone there that I love, someone there that I care about, and he's hurting, and these women stayed in my life. So when at times that they shouldn't.
Yeah. And
it means a lot to me, not only be better for myself and my children, but to be better for them, to better Emma as a wife and Shauna as my friend. And it doesn't matter if anybody wants to try to come between those two relationships, it's going to be a problem. Because I know the people that's actually been there for me when I was at my lowest. And I know the people that show real forgiveness for me. And whether somebody else thinks it's good or bad, I could give a shit. and it is what it is. And those two relationships are the two most important. Beside my children, those two relationships are very important to me because they are really my support system. And I don't say that to brag or to get views. I say that I was a very messed up individual, and it's basically to do with my environment I grew up in.
So why don't we talk about your past? I know you've talked about being a hustler with Corey, and then you've intimated that you dealt drugs, and and I don't know, criminal, and I know you've mentioned that you have a criminal charge or something, I'm not quite
Record.
sure. A record, yeah, thank you. I'm not quite sure of the...
No charges. I get no charges no more.
No.
No, but it's good to be charge free for me, so yeah.
Yeah, and I understand that,
yeah.
but we can get into that later when we get into business and financing, all that kind of stuff. That I'm sure that plays a part in all of this. But I don't know that past. I mean, that's not something that I run across in my daily life. And just hearing what your background was and how it was growing up and what kind of things you've had to endure to survive. It sounds like that's kind of what your early days were like. Again, if I'm wrong, please correct me. I'm just trying to understand.
That's just what it was for me.
Yeah.
I wish, like I said, for my mom to other people in my life, I'm sure they assumed they were doing the best they could.
Yeah.
I've had stories from my sister, that my older sister, how she used to take care of me all the time and do this. But it was never explained to me in a way as something she wanted to do. So how was she really treating me? What was I picking up off of that?
Yeah.
Obviously I was picking up that I couldn't trust people because I have a real hard time trusting people even still today.
Really?
So that's why I have a tight circle, even though who I hang around. But growing up for me, with dealing with the fact that I couldn't read and write, the fact that I wanted a father in my life, I wanted someone to see me as a little boy, had to see, and I wanted someone to pick me up and hug me, and I'm your dad, and put me on your shoulders, and never having that, and couldn't read and write in school, and then coming to realize all the stuff I went through as a kid, with other boys and stuff. Now what am I, a faggot?
Yeah.
What's going on here? And just messed up. How am I gonna live? Like, now I got kids in the world. How am I gonna take care of them? I want a nice car. I want a nice house. I want to see the world, and that's why I kind of took to my brother.
Yeah.
Because I knew we had similar backgrounds, and he was having houses and nice cars and stuff. So this was the way I was gonna go.
And how did he,
he had the tough guy image. And a lot of things, I don't know everything he did, but I can assume some things he did. Because none of my brothers ever showed me or told me sell drugs or get into prostitution, all that stuff. But you hear rumors and and maybe if they had showed me or told me, maybe I would have did it better. But it's come to find out that I wasn't good at selling drugs. I was good at, spending the money. I was good at looking like I was living a good life and being happy with the cars and the jewelry and stuff. But I wasn't good at selling drugs. I wasn't good at managing money. I wasn't even good at paying my drug bill. But it was a good thing that I was good at fighting. Because lots of times in order to pay off the bill, I just go back to the guy who owed money. If he had a problem, I can go take care of it and get my bill cut down, so manageable, just hustling, just surviving. It's, I want to do base talks, and I want to talk, and I want to be real, and to say the things that have happened is not to brag. It's just for people like me that feel they have to hold this stuff in, and there's no one to talk to, and they're just pieces of shit, and they're garbage.
Yeah.
My best teacher has been trial and error.
Yeah.
But the only thing about trial and error, you don't have to survive it. So everything I survive has given me wisdom.
Mm-hmm.
But I didn't have to survive it. There's many guys that's been through things I've been through, and now they're dead. And now they ain't got a chance to learn from that experience. But I've been fortunate to learn from so many experiences, from everything. I mean, there's nothing I haven't experienced. So there's not too much. I know what it's like to feel like you're not a man because of the sexual things that happen to you. I know what it's like to feel embarrassed because you can't read and write and you don't fit in. And what am I going to do? How am I going to survive out here? And who's going to help me? But the only thing that's happened in my life different, trial and error, has given me the chance to change my mind and say, okay, I don't want to go back to jail. I don't want to treat women like that. You know, I don't even want to treat men this way. I don't want to be fighting all the time. I don't want people scared of me. Now, if you're scared of me because you should be, then stay away. But I don't need people scared of me, and I don't need a bunch of friends anyway. So it's like
You're not that scary, to be honest with you.
that's great. That's great. That's great. There's a thing.
No, you don't come across as a scary person.
Good. That there's many people that wouldn't say that. I mean, I remember the time as this guy. When I went into religion, searching for answers and stuff, and hanging out with this guy, a little bit older than me, and he was around, like helping me, like you know, just took a liking to me, I guess.
Yeah.
I mean, at the end, I would say maybe he got more attention for hanging with me because I was Robert Brown, coming from the street.
Yeah.
And now he's hanging with me, and he seems to be helping me. But it's a long story short. But I think I was helping him with more things than he was helping me. But he was there. One of the things that he did for me, he did two things for me. We were sitting in a restaurant eating one day, and I always had a mean demeanor. You said I was a nice guy. My demeanor was mean. Like if I asked for something, the way I looked for something, looked at you, whatever, it was always, you know, I needed to be the one in charge. And he asked me, why are you talking to the waitress that way? Why are you asking for your food that way? I didn't know.
He called you out. That's
Yeah.
good.
And so I didn't know what I was doing. I said, what am I doing? I'm just asking for my food. He said, no, man, you see your eyes. Like, so it was just all the things that you say I'm a nice guy, but I practiced that.
No, well, it's not an easy trait to come across, especially given a background I can only imagine. But no, you immediately had a good aura or a good sense about you when I met you that first time.
Yeah. I had been through a lot when we met. I've been on this path when we met. So I've been through a lot, and
Yeah, well, you know, without having to go into all your past, because I think that's the past, and it's shaped you, and I don't think it's really necessary for our purposes of conversation today. I'm more interested in knowing what put you on another path, got you away from. Was there one thing, or was it a series of things? Or, you know, did you have a so-called an epiphany?
I've always been trying. I got to go back a little bit to help you with that.
Yeah.
To explain that. I've had things going on in my life that I can't overly explain. I could explain it more myself. I understand it now.
Yeah.
But I couldn't explain it then. And when I had the courage to talk to somebody about it, they couldn't help me with it.
Yeah.
But their explanation was not even close to helpful. So, but this happened. This actually happened. It's not a dream. And this world, I know now, is not what everybody thinks it is. It's not what I always thought it was, or trying to figure out what it is. But at the age of 8 years old, that bridge you drove by out there coming here,
Yeah.
the school bus used to stop just on the other side of that and let us off. And one day when they let me off from the bus and I was walking home, just before I went to get on the bridge, there were these two things there. I couldn't see them, but I could sense them. And I could sense they were facing each other and they were arguing. I was standing right there. They could argue with me, but they were arguing with each other. And one wanted me to be a hitman to kill people. One wanted me to be a minister. And as I stood there listening to them arguing, then I eventually walked around them to go home, to come in the road. Somehow they got inside of me. Like the intensity went in me. And that's really how my whole life has been. A good trying to, and an evil. And I didn't understand it. I didn't know what it was. I searched many things. I went religion. I listened to my mom. I had a lot of other different experiences going on with me in my house. You know, I always could sense things around me. like around me all the time. I could sense something around. Even today, I still can sense these things at certain times. But they're around me, and I would talk to people about it, and that's evil. Those are witches, and that's that. And I'm like, but these things, come to find today, never wanted to hurt me. An explanation of them only made me scared, and like, what's wrong with me? And that's one of the reasons I have a real problem with religion, because a lot of scary stuff being said, but no proof of anything.
If you don't mind me going back to those pseudo angel devil on that bridge, and that was when you were approximately 8 years old, and obviously you've lived a lot of life, in between on the sort of the more of the other side, the evil side.
But it's equal.
But
I've been doing plenty good too.
But what I was getting at with this question is that, during that time, I mean, you've talked a lot about, the bad things that may have happened or done. What about some of the good things that happened to you during those formative years? Do you remember much of those, or things that you've done, to kind of counterbalance that other side of things? I'm curious about that, because
one of the things that stayed out to me, and I always will, and I always remember their names, is when I got into vocational school. Mm-hmm. The reason I got into vocational school because I was getting kicked out of grade 10.
Yep.
And I remember the principal talking to me and say, well, I don't know where you're going, but you're leaving here. Mm-hmm. But he was also a nice guy. He said, I can get you in vocational school. You take a trade. And at that time, you didn't need a grade 12 to get vocational school. You can get in with grade 10 or whatever grade you had. So when I went there, I wanted to be a electrician, because even though I did stone work with my brothers and stuff off and on, I didn't like being dirty. So I thought an electrician would be a little bit cleaner.
Oh yeah.
So I wanted to be an electrician, but because of the theory in the book work, I figured I'm not gonna be able to do this. But so I chose bricklaying. So I know a little bit about concrete and a little bit about stone. So bricklaying was something that came a little bit easier to me. So, but I still couldn't do the theory. I couldn't read and write. I couldn't do none of the book work.
Yeah.
But in the projects, in the class doing the projects, I was one of the best, if not the best. And Mr. Kilgard and Mr. Mead, the teachers there, 2 Caucasian men, they said, Robert, because I was not even going to quit because I thought I wasn't going to graduate. They said, Robert, we're going to let you graduate. We're going to let you pass this course, because when you go to a job, they're not going to ask you if you can spell brick. They're going to know if you can lay them, and you can. And they believed in me, and they helped me get through that. They helped me get through that. And today, I mean, I don't do much bricklaying, but but we do a lot of stone work and all that stuff. We do a lot of work, and I can lay brick. That's my trade. That's my trade to have papers for. So yeah, so those were key moments in my life that those 2 men believed in me and seen something that I didn't see, and told me a way that was going to be beneficial.
Yeah.
Than what I was thinking. Robert, you're not going to work to spell nothing. You're going to work to lay the brick. And I was physical. I can do it. So that they seen. And I love that information. I love them that they didn't give up on me and say, because you passed this, didn't feel this, pass this paperwork, we're not going to give you your thing. And I really appreciate them doing that for me. So those are things that have helped me, and things that have stood out, like my brothers said to me. One of my brothers said to me after getting in another fight, he said, man, you need to find something to do.
Yeah.
I said, I'm working, I'm doing stuff. He said, no, you need to find something that's not going to be over in a couple of days. And it's one of the reasons I filled in that swamp behind my house. I took it on as a project, and a couple of my brothers had started it before and never quite got it done. And I wanted to get to the end of it. I wanted to fill in. I wanted to get my mom down there. And it became a project that took 14 years. But I got it filled in, and that's but as far as a lot of things, it was only personal things, because I was always, and I still am, that little boy that want to be seen, that want to be loved, that want to say, okay, I have something to offer. Why don't you love me? Why don't you want me around? And doing base talks is, I know my life's been hell, but if I can come back and offer somebody something that makes their life easier, then everything that I've been through, and I would never take credit for the people I've hurt and say it was a good thing, but all those lessons, if I can say something to help somebody not do that shit, to not have to almost take someone's life. Well, almost, no. If I can say one thing, then hear it and take it and make your life better, man.
So going back to sort of the original crux of my question, more importantly was like, did you have a turnaround moment, but maybe you didn't have a specific moment. It was always there, but finally you just chose to let that other side, the good side, take over more and push out the bad side. Is that kind of
It was
maybe a little more correct with you?
It was a moment that Shauna came back in my life because she saw me laying unconscious. There's a guy that I know from the community that we had gotten into a fight almost a year and a half before the incident happened with me. And over a card game, we got into a fight. I beat him pretty good, left him unconscious,
Yeah.
If it wasn't for a friend of mine being there to take me off of him, I might have killed him because he was out unconscious and I was still punching him in the back of the head.
Yeah.
So but it took a year or so, but eventually he got some get back. We didn't talk after the incident. And he saw me walking in the bar one night. I had always seen him at a previous bar that night too, but nothing happened. But I was drinking a lot. I had drinking all that day, and I was walking in the bar, and I wasn't really paying him attention. I seen him there, but I wasn't paying him attention. And he got some get back. He hit me and put me unconscious and gave me some kicks and everything. And somebody videoed it. And I've said this in other videos, but they videoed it and put it on Snapchat. And I got to see myself laying there like I was dead. And I didn't care. I was kind of happy about it. Because 2 weeks before that, with Emma, and I had a gun to my own head and wanted to take my own life. And there was a chance for me to see my life was taken. I was laying there, and he was trying to kill me. So, and somebody intervened that was there that didn't let him do that. He ended up in the hospital the same night from a knife stab, from being stabbed. So, I mean, the whole thing was crap. But when I see myself laying there, for your question, I said, you know what? I don't like that guy anyway. I can get up from this differently. And the people that got involved in him going to hospital, I didn't want them dealing with any of my problems. I wanted to fix this. So we ended up squashing it. And I said, as long as nothing comes out of that, and let's just leave this alone, I'll leave it alone.
So about 10 years ago, you had that was kind of like the epiphany moment that you decided.
That wasn't quite 10 years ago. My timelines was
Okay.
But yeah, it's that was a time that like I realized that, I don't want this person dealing with my life, and I don't like that person on the ground, and I'm going to get up different from this. And I kind of went back to, developing that kid that was messed up, that thought life could be good and thought he could trust some people. I kind of went back to that mindset of trying to get it right again. And I did a lot of work. I went away from a lot of stuff. One of the first things I do was stop drinking at all.
Yeah, I know we've talked about that in the past. Is that you really don't like it at all? So.
Yeah. If I have a drink now, it has to be around certain people.
Yeah.
But I quit drinking at all because I really wanted to be done with people. I didn't want certain people coming around.
No.
And the best way, if you want to make a change and alcohol and drugs in your life, cut the alcohol and drugs. It cuts out a whole bunch of people quick. And I did that. And I spent a lot of time apologizing to people, men and women. Some accepted it. Some could care less.
That's a big thing. The fact that you can, I don't want to say swallow your pride, but you can see the mistakes and you honestly go to apologize to somebody, I think is huge growth in anybody. You know, that's really that's a big step.
It is, and I had to do it for whatever reason, but I was compelled to do it.
Yeah,
guys that I've hurt, women that misled, and different stuff like that. And one of the guys I know, he drives I still see him now. He drives a cement truck. Me and my buddies that ended up taking his jewelry one time, and I seen him at the local daycare. I went up to him and I apologized. And this has been years. And he didn't understand what I was saying. I said, I'm sorry for what I did. Because, you can't just, because you want to change, because I'm making a change, you can't always assume that person has forgot about that. And I want to let people know, okay, I'm sorry for this stuff. I'm not. I can't change it, but I want to do different things in my life to prove that I've always wanted to be a different person. I was kind of trapped.
You're acknowledging the past and apologizing for it. I think the fact that you have made that effort is good for you, and you're trying.
Yeah, even in saying sorry to that gentleman that was my father, I wasn't doing it for him.
No.
I was doing it for me. And I always knew I had to do whatever was going to be done. I had to do it. Nobody was going to do it for me. And that's one thing that the father I found out a few months ago was my father. He taught me a very valuable lesson without ever talking to him. That nobody has to show up for you. That nobody has to come help you. He never showed up for me once that I know. And with that understanding, I'm like, man, I got to do something for myself. Because people ain't coming. People don't see me. And what they see of me, they don't see the real me. They see this facade I put on to try to survive. But it's not really me. But yeah, can I hurt you if I have to? Yeah. But I don't really want to. And I don't want to be in a situation that you're going to find out that I can. So it's, most of my stuff I've been doing for me, so I don't pass it on any further into my children. And then I hope he'd be a better person in my community. Because the best way I find I can help my community is start helping myself and then help my house in. Because with me coming out of the streets, well, I'm out of the streets, and then my sons are not in the street.
No, well, that's important. I mean, I did have, sort of some questions about that. I mean, do you feel you're a role model now? And what do you feel you can do for your community?
I do feel I'm a role model for my sons. I want me and my daughters to have a better relationship, and I would want them to see that I am someone that can be a role model for them. Because I know what a guy looks like who's a jerk. I know the games. I can see it coming a mile away, and me trying to give my daughters advice, sometimes I find my daughters are attracted to the same guys the way I was. I'm saying, and then a lot of times, sometimes my daughters would be in a situation and they'd be at a club or something, like, do you know who my dad is? And I'm going to call my dad and all that stuff. But like, I don't want you to call me when you're in trouble. I want you to call me today. Let's go hang out. Let's talk. I mean, I'm tired of the trouble. I'm tired of the fighting. It doesn't fix nothing. It just causes more problems. And but I did that rep. I didn't earn it. I showed them who I was. I had the reputation in the street. And of course, they would hear things. And of course, like me and my brothers and stuff, people knew they were my brothers, so they probably a little leery of my brothers more than me sometimes. But people are going to leave my children alone because they know who their dad is. And my children, some of my daughters, they use that, and but I don't want them to use that. We can always, I tell my sons all the time, if there's ever a problem, you get home to me. Yeah. Talk to me, and we can figure out how we got to do this. I don't care what it is, what the issue is. We'll figure it out. Because now I want to use a sober mind, and we're going to make good, conscious decisions, no matter what we got to do. But let me in on it. Trust me that I can help you figure out this situation. Yep. And they do. And it's been things, and hey, we made good decisions. But I tell my sons all the time, listen, I'm not bragging about my past, but we don't need nobody to help us. We good. If it comes to that, we can go there. Yeah. But we don't got to go there.
No, I mean, you could also sort things out now. I mean, you should be able to figure things out in a realistic and reasonable, using sound logic and using reasonable thinking without resorting to unnecessarily violence or going back to some of those old ways to solve problems.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. And we've been working on that, and we've been doing that. Because there's issues that pop up. I have young children, right? But we've been good. And I to my daughters that take time to watch this, let's keep getting closer, because I'd rather be the one to help you not have the problem.
So with these base talks and these interviews, who are you hoping are going to watch this? Or what are you doing it for? I mean, that's two questions. Well, first, why don't you tell me who you think your audience is, and then afterwards, I'd like to know why you're doing these.
My audience is anyone that feels themselves in these conversations. And the age would be people that can really leave their mom's house and dad's house and start thinking for themselves.
Okay.
Because a lot of the stuff you're taught in the house, just because you believe something, that don't make it true. And that's why I have a real problem with religion, because of some of the things my mom said and what I should do and what I need to do with my life and how my help's going to come. My help only came when I changed my mind and I started doing something different. Didn't know Jesus come and help me. Didn't know God come and help me. And when I look at those things, I said, like, I'm the only Jesus I'm looking to see. And I am the God that I need to experiment with and figure out how I work. When I figured out my emotions made me the devil by certain things I heard in the scriptures, the devil comes to steal, lie, and to kill. I said, that sounds like me. But these are all put on by my emotions that cause actions. When I understood that I'm the one that's want to love people and hug people, I'm the God, I'm the devil. And I told my daughter this, she'd get mad at me.
Well,
Call yourself the devil.
Before we get too far into religion, I still
Sorry.
want to get back to this, you're talking about, who you want to reach out to with these podcasts, and you're saying, it sounds to me like young people who are starting to leave their house, trying to think for themselves outside of their parents and starting their lives. Is that, kind of like that 18 to 20-year-olds and then maybe beyond, trying to help that sort of group, or are you looking for other people to?
And like I said, anyone that takes these words and feel that these words are speaking to them. But people mostly that are in the position now that with the law on the side, they don't have to listen to their parents. Because there's so much stuff that our parents teach us that we have to unlearn. And if you're that person that's finding you have to unlearn some stuff, then you got to take it slow. You can't assume that just because now you're around one group and they're telling you something, well, this is what you have to learn. Because maybe they're teaching you crap too. So if you're doing stuff that doesn't put you in harm's way, that doesn't put you in a drunk tank, that doesn't get you pregnant, that doesn't get you beat up, then you're probably on the right road. If you're earning a little.
I think what you're getting at is critical thinking.
I want people to be able to take tips from me.
Yeah.
Take tips to help them in their life. I'm fortunate that my batch teacher was trial and error. I don't want trial and error to be there, because you don't have to live for that. And you can hurt so many other people with all your errors and your trials.
Trial and error is all relevant too, because, there's trial and error, while you work through trying to build a house or trying to lay brick. Mistakes happen. Worst thing that happens is you destroy some brick, or you make a mistake, you rebuild again. But when you do trial and error on a more human level, on a level where there's potential pain and suffering, real life consequences, that is, the stuff you want to avoid. We all want to let our kids grow up. You want your kids to go run down the street. You don't want them to fall, but if they fall, they're going to learn from falling, but you hope that there's not, permanent damage, right? So it's the same. You want to learn by trial and error. That's the best way to learn. You just hope that, again, with critical thinking, that the choices that you make are not detrimental when those mistakes happen. You've been fortunate that you have made mistakes, but none of those mistakes have cost you your life. You've built. From what you've learned, you've built this great business. You've built these podcasts now. You're an excellent person, and you've got you've got great kids. Like I say, I've met your daughters, but your sons all seem excellent, and Emma's an amazing person, and I've met Shauna too. So you have a lot of great things surrounding you now, and that's obviously speaks to your character and how you've built that. So I think. That's important stuff. You've learned from your own mistakes.
And one of the things I say, like, if anybody younger kind of click on this and they're just watching it without their parents even knowing, like, if there's something going on in your life and you're being touched in a way, you got to tell somebody. You got to tell your school teacher, tell the parent that you think don't know, because a lot of my development, started early. And it was stuff that I had to fight to try to get over. And it's just by, the luck of the draw, I'm still here. And I don't want to see kids go through that. I mean, if you're a kid that you get to an age that you've been through something now, and now you're about to go into the world and get in a relationship and have kids, maybe deal with those things first, because they're going to sneak up and they're going to cause you to act out and do things that you won't have a great relationship. You won't be the great dad. You won't be great to yourself because you have other things you got to deal with.
How have you managed those, and how have you dealt with them, aside from some of the negative things you've done in your life or way you've handled things? But what are some of the positive things? Like, have you spoken to a professional, or do you confide in, say, Sean or Emma to help talk through the things that have happened to you? How do you process that information, and how do you manage with it? Because most of these things are going to be stick with you every single day. That how do you work through that?
I am a talker. I wasn't always a talker. I held it in for a long time. I started to talk in my first sentence to go to federal prison, to go to the pen. I had been charged with an assault, breaking into a house and causing an assault. It's kind of stuff that we don't have no lawyer. You get kind of railroaded into, because I didn't break into the house. I was already in the house.
Yeah.
And, the person ran in the bedroom, but I did break the door and I caused an assault. So I got 6 years for that.
Oh, my God.
And I was a bit of a jerk. It was in the high courts, and instead of going upstairs right to the courtroom, they had a lobster place downstairs. I'd be down there eating lobster, and the Crown, the police are coming in. I'm just a jerk, because I knew the people wasn't showing up. I knew they weren't going to come to court. And this went on for 4 times. They didn't come to court. It should have been thrown out, but I still got found guilty. And
You go into federal prison for
Yeah.
how long?
Well, that's just it. They sentenced me to 6. The judge sentenced me to 6 years after she went through her spiel and said,
Yeah.
I'm going to give you 6 years for doing this and doing that. And then she said, what do you have to say? She'd already gave me my 6 years. And I said, thanks. She said, I'm going to give you another 6 months for your thanks. Usually they will ask you have something to say before they sentence you. So she knew she wanted to do that anyways.
Yeah.
And that was just almost some of the prejudice or some of the things that go on in the courts that can happen when you don't have proper representation and stuff. And then when I went to court, when I went to get sentenced, I had to go to the county. I was 19. I went to the county, and somebody was in there that had violated me as a kid. And I knew the person. I'd been around him a couple of times, but I wasn't, it was all right. And they wanted me, I was downstairs, they were upstairs. They wanted me to come up with them, because I was going to be sent to the pen the next day. Want me to come up with them before I went up. I said, I don't want to go up there. So all day, the guy kept saying, so-and-so wants you to come upstairs. When you come upstairs, I didn't want to go upstairs. So eventually, I went upstairs. So when I went upstairs and I went in the cell, went in his cell, he was crying. He was crying. He said, I'm sorry for the things that I did when we were younger and stuff. He said, I'm sorry for that. He was crying. He said, I want you to, can you forgive me? And after that point, I didn't even realize how much of a role he had in my confusion. And I said, yeah, I forgive you, or whatever. So I ended up, the night went by or whatever. I went to the pen the next day. But when I got to the pen, one of the first things I wanted to do, because he opened it back up in my mind, my childhood. I started talking to the priest or the minister there, telling him about my childhood and one of the things that I went through and things I was struggling with. And they set me up with a counselor, a native guy that was coming in, talking to me, man. I was opening up. I was feeling great. And I was doing other programs in the jail, choices and different stuff, and trying to learn how to read and write. And then one day he didn't show up no more. I had a program. I had a session scheduled, and I went, and he wasn't there. And then they said, oh, he's not coming no more. I said, he's not coming today? He said, no, he's done here coming. So it was no explanation to me why this man wasn't coming in no more. And then I was forced to, everything that he was helping me with, I was forced to ball it back up and keep it inside. And things got worse. Things got worse for me then. And at one time, the court said I had to go for counseling. And I went to counseling, did that. And then there was 3 or 4 other times I paid for counseling. I just wanted to go.
Yeah.
I wanted to talk. I found talking to somebody and getting it out helped. And that's how it's always been, self-motivation, trying to figure out what was wrong with me. Nobody was coming to help me.
No, but do you have tools, from those counseling sessions that you use,
Yeah.
continue to use today to help you when you feel some of those things bubble up? Or, if, say, one of your sons or someone in the community comes to you and say, hey, look, I'm experiencing this sort of trauma, or I've experienced some trauma. Can you help? Do you have any would you say, here's this what you should do?
One of the first things I would definitely say, it's not your fault. And it wasn't your fault. You got to forgive yourself. When I figured out that it wasn't my fault, the things that happened to me, then I learned to leave it on them and then get the help I needed for what I was dealing with. But I also got to learn some more about the people that violated me. I got to hear about, because that guy that was saying sorry that night, he told me who violated him. And it was someone that was close to him. And I'm like, and then this is a long story.
Yeah.
I ended up getting out of jail after being in jail, and then my cousin had a party for me, and this gentleman was there, and I attacked him. Nobody even knew why, because they don't know see, my mind functioned different. It would react for things that nobody even know what's going on.
You were attacking the person who attacked you by attacking the person who attacked him.
Yeah, but I figured out through that is, how far am I going to go back?
Yeah.
I can't go get everybody. Some of them are probably dead.
You'd be going back centuries too,
Yeah.
right? Of your perpetual violence and.
So I'd be going back to slavery.
Yeah.
There's a lot of trauma that's come from that.
I can only
But
imagine.
I'm not trying to put any of my things on what somebody else did.
Yeah.
I had to be responsible for me. And one of the things that's very important to me was it was not my fault. I was too young to know this wasn't something I wanted in my life. And maybe they were too young to know what. Maybe they know and didn't care. I don't know. But I was too young. So when anybody's in that position, it's not your fault. You have to forgive yourself and stop blaming yourself for something that somebody else was screwed on and put on you. And you got to stop wearing it. And then I stopped wearing it, and I've been doing better. And so now,
you're not owning it in the sense you're owning it, but you're not letting it define you or make you ashamed of who you are.
I'm not anymore.
No.
Not anymore. And one of the things I had to be with women. I had to have a lot of women. I had to have the best sex with them. I had to make them feel good, to reach a climax. All these things were playing on my mind to make me feel better as a person.
Yeah.
And then come to realize I don't even really want to be doing this with everybody. But who am I? Who am I? What am I doing here? Why am I in this world? So I have a lot of issues with a lot of things, and I like what I'm doing now, but I'm getting better, and I hope to get even better. And I hope Base Talks can be a huge part of it, because I will be vulnerable. I will say things that most people ain't gonna say.
Yeah.
Because I lived a life that I don't care. What are you gonna do to me? Like, as fast as I can get this knife out, as fast as I can pull this gun, you're only gonna do to me what I can do to you. So that kind of shame of being scared of things is not me. I kind of took my strength that I used to survive in the street to use it to survive now. It's the same energy. I just had to learn to turn it around and put it in a different direction. It's the same energy. Just put it in a different way.
We'll change gears a little bit. I want to talk about your business. So we talked a little bit about how you acquired the skills to get in, to start your business, because I was curious about that, whether it was learned or you went to school. But just tell me about, how did you start Resurrection Properties and how long ago it started, and just talk to me about that.
Resurrection in all my businesses always had something to do with God.
Mm-hmm.
You know, G Power was one of my companies. That was a God thing. You know, all my power come from God. And the way I was thinking and the way I was trying to get things to work out. I had many businesses, whether they had the God name at all, on it at all.
You said
it
you
failed.
had 5, right? Were they all construction businesses?
Yeah,
or-
they probably could have been even more than that.
Okay.
But
All
whatever.
been around the same thing.
Yeah, it doesn't matter what name I put on it. It failed if it wasn't run right.
Yeah.
And I had to start it over and it mess up my credit and all this kind of stuff. So many trial and errors. But when I started Resurrection and I was running it in the ground, I mean, not work-wise, but business-wise,
Yeah.
paperwork-wise, you know, I didn't want to quit. I didn't want to give up on it.
No.
I like the name.
Yeah.
You know, Resurrection for me is me. You know what I mean? So
It's a double meaning because, you know, resurrection, you know, often if you're doing work in a house, like you take my place, for instance, you resurrected my backyard from, you know, being in a rough shape to now being an amazing backyard. But I also understand the resurrection from a sort of a biblical and a rebirth sort of way for you personally.
yeah, I've been always intertwined with, from the things that happened to me on the kid and the bridge and the things my mom was saying with what is God, where is God, and what is he doing with my life? And now in the day I even drop the he. I don't put God on he. I just see it as energy. But resurrection is very important to me because I can't get a new body, but I can, but I can resurrect and change my mind, change my body, and go a different way. I can't wait to die to resurrect. I can only die. I can only resurrect myself while I'm alive, while I have a brain to think, while I have people to work with and things that's the only way I can resurrect myself. Any other resurrection, I don't care for.
Yeah, no, like I say, it's a great title. I'm going to change again, back to a little bit. You've talked a lot about reading and writing, and the fact that you've admitted to me that you don't know how to read and write, I'm absolutely amazed that, you know, you've been as successful as you have. I guess the question is, how have you adapted, and are you interested in learning?
Yes, it's one of the things I'm going to start this year. I had tutors before.
Yeah.
One of them sadly committed suicide, but I don't think it was my fault. But, you know, I've tried to better myself in that area. But one of the things, if I would get a little bit more spiritual or spooky about it a little bit, is that I'm glad that I learned how to listen and I could hear. I would rather be not able to talk, but I could hear.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I learned to hear things, and I learned to, what if I had been good in school and learned how to read and write good? I just would have been reading some other books and going some life. I don't know if that would have led me. It would have led me somewhere. But the journey I've been on has led me to me, and has helped me with the relationship and my concerns with what is known as God, that I call it. And it's one that I can stand on. It's a base that I would share with my kids, and I have the proof that works.
Before we get into religion, because that is definitely.
No, I was going with the business.
I want to keep
and,
into the reading and writing, but I do want to get to the.
You know, religion. That's something
I know. Not that I want to. I've been avoiding it, but I kind of want to. Some of these other things have popped up that are really interesting, and saving sort of that best for last type of thing.
I don't know if it's the best, but yeah. No, it's the business has been, you know, and like Resurrection was falling, and I was like, I claimed bankruptcy before, and I was going to do it again, but then I talked to my wife, and I said, you know, she was working for a company called Hermes, and that she was making decent money, and she liked it, and I said, you know, what if you come work with the company? You can do, because she was already helping me with the paperwork as much as she could, right? I said, why don't you come work with a company? I said, I'll pay you the same thing, a little bit more.
Yeah.
She thought about it, and she decided to do it. And that's what saved Resurrection. That's why Resurrection is still around, because my wife did that inside work. The outside work that you're happy with that I did, yeah, I can do that. But that inside work, is the most important. Was just as important. And resurrection, doing that inside work and doing the outside work, that is me.
Just the sidebar, having partners who complement you, whether in life, like your wife, or whether in business, again, like your wife in this case, but I think back to my own family business, when we started, you have partners that have different skill sets. And if you bring them all together, then you're that complete business, right? So having Emma come in and complement, you and your guys' skill set on the job site is excellent.
Yeah, she does a lot in the business. I mean, yeah, she does a lot. she does a lot. I mean, she doesn't have to get up, super early and leave the house. She gets up early, but she gets up and she's on the
get
phone.
Out at 5 o'clock in the morning to drive an hour to a job site, but she's there on your weekend drives, and
yeah, we get to spend more time together.
Yeah, she's doing the estimating and the bill collecting, and I know she looks after your invoices and makes sure the cash flows there and the balance sheet's balanced.
Yeah, she does a lot of that stuff, and also Shauna helps with some stuff too as well. Putting, because she has an appraisal business, and she's quite good at that. She's got a lot of information that can help me steer things straight, and so the people in my life are very beneficial.
Yeah, but back to the reading and writing thing, though, I'm curious. You've started multiple businesses. How did you manage in those early days, of each business when you couldn't read and write? Did you hide it from customers, or did you hide it from your staff, or did you kind of just muddle through it? Or
Emma's always been around.
Okay,
So she's been around forever. I think we've almost been together for almost 30 years now. I think it's 27. So she's always been around somehow when I was doing this business. So, and every girl, even I was fooling with, I never hide the fact that I couldn't read and write. So I found out how to put a little contract together. I found out how to do this and do that, or get somebody to help me with it. I've never been someone that was actually scared to ask for help. I just asked the people that I thought I could trust. And I figured out a way to do it. I mean, I figured out a way. I'm not the kind of person that say, okay, I can't do this, I'm not going to do it. The kind of person is, I can't do this, but I'm going to figure out a way to get it done. So that's kind of the way my mind works.
Yeah.
And having people like Emma around, and I can't remember ever being any of my brothers or sisters that helped me. It was mostly the women in my life that has helped me with things I was trying to do. And it all came through trial and error, but, was it difficult to do the work? Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
Difficult to do the work because I learned something from doing construction, that even though my brothers and stuff taught me how to do the work and showed me how to do some stuff, and different people in the community, they weren't running a business right either.
No.
Because there's certain things I learned through trial and error. If a stone wall is, and back in the day, they're charging $30, $40 a square foot. But so I would charge $40 a square foot, but I would put everything else into that. I didn't know I had to put diesel into that and all the other equipment into that. Today we do it differently.
Yeah.
Because I can't just do it by the square foot unless I raise it the number up high and figure out what it will work out to be. But it was a lot of trial and error in that. Because just because I knew how to do the work, that doesn't mean it was being profitable.
No, because you got materials and labor, then you've got all your auxiliary costs. Like you say, you got to have your equipment, you got to have your crew, you got to have all the insurances.
That's another thing I learned. Like, so many businesses around ain't even allowed to be on someone's property because they have the proper insurance. They don't have the proper protection thing. So paying for insurance and running a business that is upright standing, it costs us money just to want to do the right thing.
Just to incorporate. You got to pay corporation taxes every year, and you got to file your tax return, and you got to make sure you get a Better Business Bureau and all the other workers' compensation. There's there's endless bureaucracy that you have to buy into. But it seems like overkill. But on the other hand, it's there for a lot of protection, not only for you, but for customers and your staff as well, to have all this stuff in place. So
workers' comp.
Running a legitimate business is not easy. But once you get it done right, and if you price yourself accordingly and you do the good work, people will figure out who you are and why you want to do business with you.
That's one of the reasons you're sitting there and I call you my favorite customer. Not only because we developed a relationship, you trusted me.
Oh yeah.
When things were going wrong with that pool job, not any fault of mine.
No,
But when
no.
things was being slowed down, and I seen your patience. One of the reasons I wanted you to do this with me, I seen your patience. I'm like, you have so much patience with that contractor. And then you're like, oh yeah, he'll come back and do his job. I knew him for a long time. I knew his family. He'll get it done. You had that trust for him, and he did come back, get it done, did a great job. You mean you had that trust for him, you had that patience with him, and then when things were going wrong, and you're saying, I say I can do it. I'll put this, I'll dig it out. I'll fill it back in, and you're like, okay, when you're done, give me a bill. I'm like, what? But that's what I'm saying in my head. I didn't say it aloud. You're just saying, give me a bill. It's not too. You're the first time anybody ever said, do the job, and give me the bill later. And I don't know if it's before you have tons of money, or you just trusted me that I would do the right thing. So sorry.
It made sense to me. So that's worked out.
Yeah, so I definitely had to thank you because I'm always dealing with stuff, and I have a problem with trust. And a lot of times I understood I have a problem with trust because I can't trust myself. So when you're dealing with business, and it's a great opportunity if you can be honest with your customer that you can build them later. Because now you don't have to rip them off, but you don't have to lose money either.
Oh, I don't want you to lose money.
Instead of me giving you a price that I got to go back and say, oh, I don't do that. If I give you a price and I mess up on it, I'll eat it. Yeah. So, being an opportunity that I can say, it's going to take this much material, it's going to take this much time.
Yeah.
I charged for trucking, and I was able to break it down and give you a fair price that for you, and I made money. It was a relief. It was like, man, this is. I like this dude.
It's the way it should be. I mean, even if you made a mistake, I understand. Come to me and
but customers not all like that.
Yeah,
like the price is the price for some people. And
yeah, but that's just unfair. I mean,
yeah, but
again,
the world's not
if
fair.
there's a trust there, that person, you should be able to say, look, I messed up. Here's what I'm willing to do, and the person should say, okay, yeah, that makes sense, and come to a fair compromise, because it's not.
I have never asked to do that. I eat it, and I learn from that.
You, if that ever happened in any of my jobs, I'd want you to come and talk to me, because I don't.
Yeah, well, now we're going to have an open dialogue. We're going to talk about more things. I'm going to talk with the customer at this.
Yeah.
So it's different now.
Yeah.
But you gave me that opportunity to be fair with myself and fair with you.
Yeah.
And I thank you for the trust.
I appreciate the work that you did for me. It's incredible. Mm-hmm. I always tell people who I got it from. So
that's good.
Try to keep you kind of sign you more business when I can.
Yeah, we're doing business. I have rental properties.
Yeah.
As well, and I'm building some more next.
Yeah, you mentioned that to me too. That's awesome.
So how do all those things come about? How do I put it together? Trial and error.
Yeah. And
people like Emma that's been there and believe in me. My son that come from Toronto and work for me. Mm-hmm. That's my son, and we have a great relationship. We might get in our little spats, but
Which son is that?
That's Noah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and my other sons, when they're around not playing football, they'll play. But Noah's the one that's there with me all the time, and trying to, even
He's great with customers. You should know that.
Oh yeah,
he's really good. Yeah.
Yeah, he's quite the guy. He's great with his kids too, and he's
yeah, I've seen.
I'm really proud of him.
He should be.
Really proud of him. Welcome back to Base Talks. This is the time we're going to give the opportunity to the guests to take on the Base Challenge.
Oh, Jesus.
And if you've been tuning in, you know what the Base Challenge is. Those 100-pound dumbbells. If he can curl them, I'm going to have to give him $1,000. You up for the challenge?
All up for the challenge.
Oh. There's a risk.
I'm going to try it. There's no risk to me other than maybe blowing out my arms, but.
Getting the insurance to cover you on that one?
Yeah. That wasn't part of the waiver?
No.
All right.
You want to right in the middle here? You want me to take them off there? Oh, well, you took that off. I think you're going to curl it.
Oh, yeah. Well, I got to lift it up again first. Jesus. All right. Let's just get them right here so I can in between.
Let me pull this chair back. Let me make it fair for you. Make it look fair for you.
Okay.
Oh, come on.
Nope.
Nice.
That's not gonna
Oh,
go
I'm
in.
saying nice. That was a nice effort.
Yeah, I thought it was gonna slip right out of my hand. So those are heavy.
I don't have to do it, do it?
You want to do it?
No.
All right. We'll put it back for you.
I appreciate you taking the...
Well, it's fun. Plus, I want to test my own abilities.
Maybe I should just show people it can be done. The doctor said
Yes,
so.
you should show.
My doctor should told me to go halfway. I'm not listening to my doctor if I curl these.
I got to make sure it can be done.
It's all on the wrist. And you should be already warmed up.
Yeah, that's probably coming in cold.
It's all on the wrist.
I don't deadlift with that much weight. That's probably about 50 pounds more than I normally deadlift with. So
Yeah. I like it because I can curl those. And I've done other things with my life that other people, would find it hard to do. And that's what my life has been. I've been doing things that other people would find hard to do, but I get it done.
well, that's good. I wanted to start the second half off. We'll get into religion.
Oh.
And where do you stand on religion? How does it play a place in your life? And what are your belief systems? What keeps you going? Mm-hmm. What do you use to motivate yourself from a belief? I know you have your angel and devil, and we've talked about God and it so far, but how does that play in your life?
Well, it is God to me because it just fits. What I know from my personal experiences, and someone could say it's God, someone could say it's devil. I know it was all going on in me. It was all going on in my mind. And I had to figure out me. When I figured out me, I figured out the devil. When I figured out good, I figured out the goodness of God, and I could figure out that I was doing all that stuff.
Yep.
And I could be in control of that. Mm-hmm. And religion has been something that just confused me. The books and all the books, because a lot of people think there's just one Bible. There's all kinds of religious writings, and they weren't put together and written down by one man. There were, a bunch of papers that come together over the years that people put together, and there's all kinds of information out there of how these books come together. And my mom, even though she tried to do the best she could. For me, she put me on a terrible path.
Hey, you've talked about that earlier. You talked about unlearning things. I'm assuming this is one of the things you're going to talk about unlearning.
I had to unlearn about this Jesus character.
Okay.
Because I grew up, Mom had a picture in the house of, a white man with long hair.
Yep.
And Jesus, that was a savior. And you kind of grow, like, this is important. Mom said this is important. And that's your savior. And that's who you owe all your all your thanks to. And I'm like, I never ever could grab it wholly. And then when I got into listening to books and I got a hold of what my ancestors went through, I started thinking, how does any black person look at this white face and think it's their savior? And then I get into all the other teachings and I find out where the J come from, that the J is only the newest letter in the alphabet. And I know there were people in the world that were doing similar things that the character Jesus. In my book, I call Jesus a character. Because the irony of this is I love a lot of the things the character Jesus says in the books. Because it put me back in place with me. And I'm not looking for anybody outside of me to save me. It's me have to doing the work, and yes, I can learn from other people, but nobody can do it for me.
No.
And to teach a kid that this person is your savior and this person is worthy. And I listened to the songs that Mom and the things that they would say, and they would die. When they die, they're going to be in heaven with Jesus. They're going to bend down. They're singing the songs. They're going to pray all day and bend down and kiss his feet. I ain't kissing nobody's feet. That made no sense to me. I wouldn't do it now. Would you bend down and kiss somebody's feet all day now? Well, why are you thinking this? Where did it get it from? So that has so much confusing. And I just, over the years, I claimed to be Christian. I claimed to be Muslim. But I kept learning and learning and learning. And I'm thankful that I didn't get stuck there and to claim something. But I took something from all of that stuff I was learning, and I found me. And that's what I'm most thankful for. So religion to me is a trap, because if you Google how many different religions there are, choose one. Which one are you choosing? Who's right? Who's wrong? The Muslims fight with Christians. Christians fight with the Jews, and they all claim to be right. But if you listen to some of the words that the character Jesus said, and I love, he says, we're all gods, but we die like men. And he called us his brethren. So if I'm your brother, I can do everything you can do. And he said that in the words, right? We can do everything he can do. You know, so these are things that are important to me. So I'd rather be like my father than my father's slave. So Jesus gave me the opportunity to be the father and not just be worshiping someone like a dumb slave. And so I learned many things from the book, but really disappointed in people that were supposed to be teaching me something. You never took time to find out anything else. You can't even read, but you're telling me what's in this book. You're telling me that you believe in Jesus and you follow in Jesus, and you're telling me that's what I need to do, what I need to be baptized and my sins need to be washed away. Really? This is what I need? So I get baptized. Why I still got these problems? You know, I have all these things happen with me. Why I still got these problems? Because I got to do something. Ain't nobody coming to save me. Ain't nobody. You know, there's a thing that the black people talk about. Everybody talks about, I guess, if they believe that, and the rapture. Mm-hmm. And being around a lot of people, but mostly black women and stuff. They're scared of snakes. They're scared of spiders. They're scared of heights, and they're scared of flying on planes. But one day, the raptors are going to come, and they're going to be floating around in the sky, all happy. Can you imagine them up there screaming, kicking and hollering that they're going to fall? So I don't have no faith and no truth in what they're saying, because you're not showing me that any of this is true. You know, and the things that I like from the scriptures that when the character Jesus said that your faith has saved you, when people would be healed, he would say, your own faith has healed you. So that's telling me I got to do something. So when listening to the scriptures, never read them, listening to them on my audio, I found a book that was talking to me, telling me about me, the good, bad, and the evil. And I started hearing things differently. And I started saying that, you know, the character Jesus is showing me that he is the Father, because my son he can be like me, and I can, you know, he can do everything I can do. And Jesus was saying we can do everything he can do, and he can do everything God can do. So that makes us all one. So I like the scriptures for that reason, but I hated it for the fact that it's a trap.
I think you're taking a great approach at scriptures and religion, and looking at more of as the metaphors that what the stories say, or it's not necessarily to be taken literally. Mm-hmm. You know, the stories in the Bible or the scriptures. It's more about taking the essence of it and understanding the essence. And you've taken the essence not only from that but other religions and built them into something that makes sense to you. And I think that's the important part about religion, is that people like it because it gives them something to feel good about and help them understand all the confusion. But when you take it literally, it can be taken out of context, because I may read a sentence one way and you may read that same sentence another way and interpret it. But if you take it literally, but if you take it as just the general principles, and the easiest principle is you treat people like you want to be treated. I mean, that's the easiest thing to do. And I think by what you're doing and just taking the essence of it and utilizing it and making it work for you is a great way of looking at religion.
I started, the more I got into it, I started hearing about the Crusades. So I figured what the Crusades, and then I heard what they did to the people. And people think, well, everybody was being killed because they're trying to bring this message of Jesus. No, people were being killed and forced to take the message of Jesus if you want to get the truth of it. And then I go further and say, what they do to my people. See, when you find out what they did to my people, that's when a lot of just want to hate.
Yeah.
You know, how they turn our people upside down, cut the men's privates off and all this stuff. Stuck there. I mean, all the stuff they did, I'm saying, this is good. This is what you want to follow? You know, and it just was something else that's very important to me. And this came to me, you know, I'm listening to the book, and this character, the devil, I realized that he never killed nobody that the character God didn't give him the okay to do. But the character God was killing everybody. I'm saying there's something wrong with this picture. If they did this, he was dropping them in a hole. He was doing this. He was doing that. And the story of Lazarus, and it was not Lazarus, but I forget his name. But
David and the Lion, you mean?
No, Job.
Oh, Job.
It's
Yeah.
similar to Job, and when conversation, this character Satan is having a conversation with God,
Yeah.
and God saying you can kill his family, kill his love stuff, but you can't kill him. Saying like, you've given them permission to do it, and then Job ain't even did nothing. So these things make me question everything. I'm saying, well, how can we follow this stuff? How can we say it's absolute truth? How can we teach it to our kids? How can we tell them that 25th of December is Jesus' birthday and Easter is the day he was crucified and whatever, raised or whatever, and rabbits, rabbits are giving out all these Easter bunnies and stuff. You know, I was in my 20s before I realized that rabbits didn't lay eggs.
Really?
I didn't know rabbits didn't lay eggs because the Easter bunny brought eggs all around. But where did he get it from? He stealing from the chickens? Like all the stuff doesn't make no sense. And
You could say
to me, until I get the chance to know something and start to have some experience for myself, I just don't believe it. Because believe something don't make it true. And I have a real problem with because Christmas, because my mom did the best she could, and she worked hard, but around Christmas time, if I asked for a bike, I didn't feel bad for it because I know Santa's bringing it. Santa's giving Mom a break. If I knew that Mom had to figure out how to get me that bike and struggle, whatever she got to do to get that bike, I would never ask my mom for nothing like that. So, and then coming around the age of 6 and I figured out that Christmas wasn't real, Santa wasn't real, I went into my sisters, my brothers and stuff, why you guys lied to me? Because we already know that Mom don't got it the easiest. So why are we putting this garbage on it and giving, I don't even give Mom the thanks. I'm giving the thanks to Santa Claus. So I hated it. I hate everything about it. And when me and my wife was trying to get our life together, start to do something, it was a great thing to drop. Because we didn't have to be trying to save money for a lie.
Yeah.
And we didn't have to be trying to live up to a lie. So she loves it, and we dropped it. Her parents, that's a little bit difficult. But they still like to celebrate it. But they can bring out gifts, but I like for them to do it on a totally different day. If you want to give it to bring it in my house, I just don't want it in my house.
No, I get that. That makes sense to me as your reasoning, and especially given the background and quite frankly the commercialization of the holiday. I mean, I know in our house, don't get me wrong, but it's not a overly religious.
Yeah, I've come not to enjoy none of that.
No, and I
None
get
of the
it.
lights, nothing.
Well,
I see it's all fake love, fake attention, and the reason for some of us to pretend to be happy for a day. I mean, like,
yeah,
you know,
Okay.
if I can live life on today, or not today, or me and my wife and we'll go and eat, but we don't got a plan to go eat. If we want to go eat, we'll go eat today.
it's like Valentine's Day, right? Yeah. I don't celebrate Valentine's Day. I don't know about you and Emma.
I don't celebrate my anniversary.
Well,
We go too much. We know
Yeah.
what day it is,
Yeah.
you know, but if she wants something, if I'm thinking about her, I'll get it that day.
yeah,
And that's the kind of life I like.
yeah,
I want to like that I have more so I can do more for myself and the people I love and strangers. But I want a life I have to wait to get my son a pair of Jordans on some day.
yeah.
You need sneakers? Okay. When I get off of work, let's go to the mall.
Yep.
That's the kind of life I want.
Yeah.
And then my son Josiah, he's younger. He doesn't seem to care about no Christmas because he never came up under it.
No.
And if you go ask if he needs something, he don't need anything. He got his own little money saved and things he already got. He already acquired it throughout the year.
Yeah.
I think he's pretty good at math. He realizes that 365 days is more than one day.
Yeah.
So if you just ask for things you want throughout the year,
What you need, what you want. Yeah,
you're gonna acquire way more than your mom and dad could ever afford to get you on one day.
exactly.
So he's pretty smart that way.
Oh, that's good. Must take after his dad, right?
Yeah, mine's through trial and error. Mine's through trial and error. But yeah, those things just don't. I love people to be good to each other and be kind to each other. And you find around the Christmas time, people are holding the doors and saying Merry Christmas. But I catch them off guard when they say Merry Christmas. I said, what does that mean? No, people can't even tell me what it means. So what are you saying? So I catch people off guard and I say, I don't celebrate lies. And they kind of.
That would throw people off.
I don't celebrate lies. And then and they're looking at you. I find some people look at a black person, they're expecting to be a Christian. I'm not a Christian, but I have been, and I took it seriously.
Yeah.
And I said all the things they did, and I did whatever, but I wasn't looking for that thing. And I'm not really glad, but the people inside the building showed me something. You were just like the people outside in the streets. You're hypocrites, you're lying, you're talking about each other's. I was allowed to be around the ministers, be around the people, and be in their little cliques. Because on the street I had a clique, but in the churches they had their cliques. Like, you guys, I just came from this. It's not what I'm looking for. It's not what I want. And it kept me going, and I wasn't looking to settle. And I know there's many people that know this cliques and know this backstabbing, and you still stay there. Why? Because you want to believe a lie? And that's just my thing. You do what you want to do.
I get that. And again, if you're looking at the Bible literally, it can easily be interpreted as a lie. But if you look at it more metaphorically and as the mysticism of it, there's a lot of great messaging in there. And there are, stories of trial and error,
it's a lot of great messages.
So again, if you look at it that way, I think most people who are not overly, who aren't literal with the Bible, look at it as the Christianity or any faith is just some guiding principles and a way to help them understand the things that are unperceivable.
Can I tell you that one of the things that really made me be done with the whole Jesus character thing?
Sure.
That bridge out there,
Mm-hmm.
this Gasper run up there.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what time, certain time of the season, Gasper, the fish run up there. And as a kid, we always caught them.
Yeah.
We always caught them, and we could have a bucket or whatever, or a net, and we just put them up on the ground, and then we get a whole bunch and clean them off, and then take them home or whatever. So I was having a dream. My mom was just telling me about dreams. Mom was talking about travels. Now, this particular thing I would call it travel because it was deeper. Yeah. And it had a deeper meaning, and I didn't know what it meant for years. But a day had came, and I was out there in this travel, in this dream. And the fish were coming upstream, and I had the bucket, scooping them out, throwing them up on the bank, right? And my cousin came along, and she was hollering, Robert, stop, Robert, stop. And I looked over, and all the fish were turned into young women, and they were dying. And she was distraught, and then told me to stop, and I staring there, and I woke up. Never knew what that dream meant for years. And just last year, I'm up in Toronto doing a test for my drivings and stuff up there, different courses. And I got up in the morning in the hotel and I was doing some studying, and it came to me what that meant for me. It came to my head. Things like they're planted in my head. I don't hear voices. You remember when Jesus told his disciples, I'm going to make you fishers of men.
Yeah.
And that's the thought that came to my head. And I'm saying, fishers of men. So what happens to a fish when you take it out of the water?
Dies.
It dies. And that's when I said, oh my goodness. Religion takes people out of the truth, out of who they are and who the real substance of their self is, and puts them in something that's going to kill them. So when you take a fish out of the water, it dies. So what the character Jesus was going to teach people to do wasn't a good thing that came to my mind, because it's better to leave people in their natural environment that they flourish and that they get the good foods and they get the good teachings. But when you take it out and put it in something that's not natural, like religion, it's made up by man, find out who Constantine and these people are, then people die. And then they're like wondering, and I love pastors like say people die for the lack of knowledge, and come to find out about my own health and what's going on with my body is, when I make changes, my health improves. So, yeah, we do die from a lack of knowledge. That lack of knowledge can be the food you're eating. It can be the places you're going. It could be the relationships you're staying in. If you don't know you got to do better, or there's another way to do it, you keep doing things that lead you to death instead of life. And I just find religion, which everybody I know has led them into a place where called Hades or the grave, and they believe that they're gone off to heaven. But if you pay attention to the scripture more, this character Jesus said, it was bringing heaven back to you. So where you going?
Yeah, no, I completely understand your interpretation there. I think, it goes back to we talked about earlier about critical thinking, right? And you're talking about religion potentially, destroying people. But I think it really comes down to if you take things literally, and and have no problem doing certain things in the name of religion or changing your life that's bad because of religion, yeah, that's not good. But if you use it as a sort of a guiding light or a template to do certain things or act certain ways, there are lots of positives, as we said, in those messages. It's just, again, everything has to be taken, you have to have that critical thinking. You have to have that ability to say, okay, does this make sense in the real world? It's just...
But even in that, I was led to different books called The Book of the Dead. And I mentioned this to a lady preacher I was talking to. She's like, The Book of the Dead, what is that? I said, you should read it sometime. You'll find out where King James got their information from. And then listen to The Book of the Dead.
Is that the Egyptian Book of the Dead?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm reading a book called The Pagan Christ and talks about how...
There's a couple of them.
How a lot of those were... The Christian religion is based on much older religion. So
when you find out that they were talking about Horus and all these people and who they come from and where they were, and actually the complexion of these people, when I think about that, I'm saying, they didn't just steal us from Africa. They stole our way of living, our truth, and then put their name and face on it. So that's my whole... That's not my whole way. That's some of the stuff that's came to me. They stole a lot of stuff. And now in even days, if you look at the ancient artifacts from Egypt, like they're in all these other museums and stuff, and the people that really own them ain't got no control of it. So one thing I want is control of my own mind. Ain't no religion, ain't no woman or man gonna lead me nowhere that I don't want to go. So that will mean I will make mistakes on my own, but I can do bad on my own. Yep. I don't need to do somebody else's foolishness. Like I don't need to follow the mistakes of the past, and I want my kids to follow the mistakes. I don't need to follow the mistakes of people I looked up to in the past. I can do bad on my own. So trial and error is still a part of my life.
Yep.
And I'm still searching. I still want that peace for myself, not settle with what someone else told me is true.
You can be good for the sake of being good for no other reason.
I'll take that. I'll just be a person that's trustworthy and a person that wants to be in peace.
Yep.
And wants to be and has the mindset to know that I'm not gonna let you mess with me neither. No. I want to be safe, and you don't. And I mean, like the eye for an eye, a tooth for a tooth. I kind of like that better than let someone smack you around and give them the other side. Because in this world, people would do that.
Well, yeah, they will. But, I think not to get too deep into a debate, but, my personal philosophy is kind of like, okay, yeah, there are certain times, but also I think it's important to know what's important in life, right? Eye for an eye, yes, but there could be other repercussions because in this day and age, eye for an eye could lead you to jail type of thing. Mm-hmm. Whereas you swallow your pride, but you walk away from it. It's what's most important for you and your family and your business. You got to look at all the bigger picture of things and say, yeah, I could stand on principle and go do this, or I can walk away and everybody's going to be happy, And you've got to learn how to stop keeping score.
And I fully agree with you on that. But, and it's based on what's going on in front of your face. An eye for an eye, two men or two women. And if it's going to go down, well, I have the right to protect myself. Or two people there and somebody hauls off and smacks me like my wife did. I was strong enough. I could have took that smack. But it's just my pride. So sometimes you can let that go. So it depends on the situation and what you're dealing with.
Yeah.
And that's what I leave it to. The person you're going to get from me, is based on what's going on. What is the situation? That's how I want to react today. And if I can have a situation that's not a confrontation, I'll take that one. I'll take that one. If I got to stay away from you, I'll stay away from you.
Good.
That doesn't mean I like you. That doesn't mean you like me. But we're smart enough to know that we're not going down that road.
No, you just avoid people that you don't.
Yeah.
There's no point in putting yourself in harm's way.
No. Not to prove a point and based on your
No,
pride.
not today. As we had lunch a little while ago, we started talking about Emma and her parents, that they emigrated here from England to stay for a short period of time, and then they've been here for 40 some odd years now. And you told me you had a couple interesting stories, or an interesting story about her father you wanted to share.
Her father, yeah. That's why and with these people, her father, mom, I call him mom and dad.
Good.
And first meeting her dad and mom, and when Emma took me around, I got to know a bit about him. He was into rowing and stuff, and he would go away a lot. And this man, he was smart. He is smart. He was kind. He was loving, and he had an accent. So he was weird to me because and all the stuff this man's doing don't make no sense to me. I started hearing stuff about her family. There's no divorces. There's no alcoholics. There's no women beaters. There's no one that's been to jail. Her father doesn't even have a speeding ticket. I said, who are these people? I don't know. These people are just weird. I don't know. So at the time, I didn't know this was something that I was crying for my whole life. A positive father figure. A positive father figure. He was right there, and he would have did things with me. He would have talked to me. I just didn't trust him. And
You didn't trust him because he was different.
he was different. I didn't trust. I figured you got to be lying about something.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I didn't take the opportunity to get close enough to him. We're fine now and everything. But these people are not religious people. They never talked about church. They never talked about Jesus. They never talked about nothing. But every other Wednesday, they had this thing. All their family came together. And her brothers, her sisters, and their children came together and ate. And I would be invited. I'm like, it's Wednesday. Turkey, all these trimmings and stuff. And everybody's happy. They got these things that they break off.
Oh,
and
the crackers.
Yeah, I'm saying, what is this? You guys, I didn't. And it's the same thing as a Christmas dinner.
Yeah.
But it's being done on a Wednesday. There's no talk of Jesus, no talk of nothing.
Sounds
And
great.
Yeah, this is why I come to understand some stuff about a lot of stuff that, well, even though in her cooking, it was a little bit different than my mom's cooking. I wouldn't say it tastes better or whatever, but it was a little bit healthier prepared when I know what, mom had to use and what her ingredients were. So it's just stuff. And then these people never changed. They only became better. This man I never heard him beating his wife or being drunk. I've been in their house and they be just sitting around and he would have a cup of beer and then he'd stop. Who is this stranger? Who is this creature? How can you stop drinking and just drink water? I didn't know how they could do none of that. I never seen it. I didn't understand it. But that'd be 27 years now, I had the opportunity to be around a good man to learn different things, how to treat women, how to be there for your children. But I was scared of it.
So knowing what you know now, through your life experiences, do you think that that's weird now?
It's still a little weird. But
what would you hope for Noah or Josiah or Zion, as men growing up, if they conducted themselves similarly, would you be happy for that?
Yeah, I would like. One of my goals was for my sons was for them not to be anything like me. I would like them to be more with their grandfather, with women. And they could have been the first people. I don't know what other relations they had, but if it did, I would imagine it wasn't many. And I would like my sons and daughters to take the time and find a person that was compatible for them, that they enjoyed, that they seen as their best friend, and they just like being around them like these people do. They do everything together. They're always together. And I'm sure they've argued, but I never seen it. Or came back when walked in the house and said they're being phony. They were just arguing. They're always the same. They're always lovely people. They're always caring. And so
that's what you kind of hope now for your children to,
Yeah.
Your sons and daughters to sort of aspire to, and even though it still seems a little odd to you, but you'd be
It's odd in the fact that I don't know if how would some of my kids would get there now,
yeah.
because they were introduced and seen so much stuff. Even though they were young, kids know stuff is going on. They know mommy's upset. They know daddy's not here. For them to have that innocence back, just to trust that they could find someone that'll be right for them, I think for some of them that's
Well,
going to be a little bit hard
It
to
could be
find.
generational too. I mean, you can't expect people to change. Have a complete, a 180 at one generation to the next. Sometimes it takes 2 or 3.
Yeah.
So they're seeing a lot less than what you saw growing up. So hopefully your grandchildren will start to grow up, and if they run across a house like Emma's parents, they won't go, this is
Right.
Twilight Zone type of thing. This is, oh yeah, this is what happens, and
Right.
that's normal. Oh, yeah, I've seen some other stuff, but that's normal too.
Yeah, so
It takes time.
it does take time, and that's what I'm definitely looking to change the generations to come from my family.
That's great.
I work hard, and we talked about getting in business. The first time I needed a wheelbarrow, I rented it, and I rented a shovel, not even realizing that I could buy a shovel cheaper than I could rent it. And then I took it outside and put it in the trunk of a car and tied the hood down. So my kids ain't gonna have to go through that.
No?
So I'm changing things for them. I'm changing things for them. How, if you're gonna do construction, you don't gotta break your back. You get the right equipment, you do it, because you gotta do it tomorrow too, and you gotta do it the next day. So let's find a way we can do this better. And that's just what I want to do. I just want to live a better life, and then show my kids that life can
And
be better.
education's important for you now. I mean, considering that you've got grade 10 and then vocational, and haven't learned to read and write. I'm assuming you're hoping for your children to want better for that.
I think it's important to know how to read and write, especially when it comes to contracts and different stuff, and going in restaurants and ordering food and all that stuff. But it depends on the person. What do you want to do? So if you want to be a lawyer, you're gonna have to know how to read and write and doctor and all that stuff. But take the things in the world that's going to shape you into the person that you want to be, not that somebody or society is telling you have to be. I'm not a great writer or reader, but I'm a pretty good contractor. So, and I want to go from that and do this. I want to do more speaking. I want to be in front of people. I want to do speaking engagements. I want to have open conversations so they can ask me a hard question that they never had anybody else that they trust to answer. And I want to be one of the people they can trust. That I will give them an answer based on what I've been through, not what I believe could happen. So,
I want to ask you a question about police. Do you trust the police?
trust the police. I trust them to do their job.
Okay.
And so a lot of times that was the opposite of what I want them to do. I'm trying to get away with something. They got to do their job. Police here in Nova Scotia have never overly been my enemy.
Okay.
Only the fact that they know I was either driving without a license or up to something or
Yeah.
had a warrant for my arrest, and they had to come do their job. I can't think of no police officers that I could say picked on me on purpose. But I've got into a lot with them once they showed up, and then my attitude, because I didn't want to be arrested or because I wanted to make tonight I wasn't the guy that they were. You know what I mean? I always made it worse for myself. And a lot of the police officers have, given me opportunities to, okay, Rob, we're going to give you a break. Unless somebody else come and get the car. I'm not going to search the car right now, Rob, but you got something in here, get it out, because we're going to tow the car. There's all kinds of stuff that they have done for me. And there's times, like, I said in other interviews, like, they come to deal with me and they push me down the steps in shackles and handcuffs. Did I deserve that? No. But I think maybe I should have learned the lesson that these policemen were seeing somebody that was being an idiot, and they had a job to do, and they got emotions as well. So, overall, and there's been policemen that have, told me about myself and sit down and talk. Something happened with a certain person one time, and something had been done to him that, you don't want done to your people, your children. And I was at the hospital waiting, and I had everything arranged. So what I just needed to get close enough to the person to find out who did this. And the cop sit there the whole time, saying, "Robert, I just chill out. We don't want you to do nothing. We just want them to release the name of the people. We'll pick them up tonight." He said, "You know where they're going? They're going in the county." He said, "You got friends in there." This was a policeman just talking to me. "You got friends?" He said, "But I don't want you to do nothing. She releases the name. We get them picked up. And then you got friends in there. Send a kite, do what you got to do." I sit there and listen to him. Wasn't really talking to him because he was a police officer in police clothes and stuff. So I didn't want to think we were friends or nothing. But I was hearing what he was saying. He got a point. So I'm thinking. Then I went in and talked to the person. I'm saying, just tell them who did it. Tell me who did it. Tell the names. They wouldn't. And the reason for not telling was the same, because they don't want to be known as a rat. How the hell you a rat for what just happened to you? You know what just happened to you and you're the rat? I said, you got to release these names.
Yeah.
But I had to learn from that.
Yeah.
Even though they were a younger person and you have to be there for them because they're emotionally not understanding what they're doing. I can't throw my life away because they don't want to do the right thing. And
you can't throw your life away to get retribution when the
But at that time, it was going to come.
Well,
the point of it is the police officer was sitting there and saying, "It's other ways to do this."
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Better ways.
Because
street justice isn't. It's justice, but it's not. It's not the. It doesn't help you, because all it does is eventually put you somewhere you don't need to be.
Because what they were saying is, once they get in there, and the guys find out that it was someone that related to you that they mess with, but they're gonna want to do it for you anyway, Rob. So, they didn't release the name, and the people never got arrested.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that.
Oh. It is what it is. I mean, long story short, nothing to do with me.
Yeah.
These people are not alive anymore.
Yeah.
That's the truth. That just through their way of living and their way of things they were doing, it caught up to them another way. So
karma sometimes works its way.
Yeah.
Doesn't always, but sometimes it does.
Yeah. Sometimes.
What about the court system? How do you feel the court system to you and maybe to your community?
The court system in the beginning was cruel because it took advantage of what you didn't know.
Yeah, you mentioned that earlier about the assault case.
Yeah, and the people put in charge to get you released were just doing the job. They weren't the best lawyers. They didn't have your best interest in heart. And a lot of times when I showed up in court earlier, I just wanted to go home. So if I got to plead guilty to something, even if I didn't do, okay, I'll take the probation as long as I get to go home. I didn't know this was going to affect me down the road, and they didn't explain that to you. And someone gets a guilty verdict, and it was just a game they were playing with me and the people. And it wasn't till I got in trouble, and one of my brothers set me up with a lawyer that he knew. And tell you the truth, I didn't go to jail no more after that, because Mr. Zimmer knew what he was doing. And I kind of got him confused in my life as a father, because every time I got into trouble, even though it was costing me money, he was the one showing up and giving me advice and telling me what to do and getting me out of the trouble. And I kind of got confused in that relationship at one time because I wanted to talk to him about other things. And he wasn't available for that. He was just my lawyer.
Well, that might have been hard reality or hard truth.
It was, but he was a man that was good at his job, and he also probably liked me a bit too.
Yeah. Because,
I was good with my hands and do work and stuff. But at the end of the day, he wasn't showing up because he probably showing up first because my brother asked him if they had a better relationship. But I had to come to reality that this guy's not my father. He doesn't have to show up. And if I don't have the money to pay him, he ain't going to show up. So I kind of respect him as a great lawyer. One of my sons has his middle name.
Oh, really?
Zion has his middle name, and yeah, he did a great job for me, and a lot of cases that they would have put me under the jail. He gave me good advice. You go sit there. We get some information. We find this out, and man, he saved me from doing life. He did a great job. There's a time they wanted to give me an indefinite sentence, and I wasn't even charged for like a murder or nothing. It was just I had so many assaults accumulating up.
Yeah.
They were looking at, if we don't stop this young guy, we're gonna. So they looked at giving me an indefinite sentence. And we just basically, I sat in the county for a couple months. He dealt with that, got before the right crown, the right judge, and I got out. And with some of that, dealing with the police, some of that came about because a police officer had got shot. But they got shot because when they came to the place to deal with me, they picked up the gun I had and it went off. And the rifle, the BBs hit the ground, or the bullets hit the ground, and one of the cops got hit. But somehow they said I shot the cop. So you got to be very careful. If you ain't got somebody to go back to the information and read it and get the facts and say, well, how can I be the one that shot the cop if I'm the one, I'm already in the police car? And it's by their notes that he figured that out.
Yeah.
And those charges couldn't continue. And then, but what about if I didn't have a lawyer as smart as him? I'd be sitting in jail for doing something I didn't do. But it wasn't because I wasn't an asshole. But I would have been guilty of that particular charge. So the courts and lawyers and police, I have all kinds of different situations. But I guarantee it, I'm the one that put myself in front of all of them.
Yeah.
Nobody woke up in the morning saying, we got to find someone named Robert Brown and go lock him up. And there's something that came over their radio, their dispatch, and now they're dealing with me.
Yeah.
And they don't really know who they're dealing with, because I had a kind of a hate on for the police sometimes. But it just so happened that my mindset, I changed my mind. And I stopped seeing them as the enemy and afraid that the enemy was in me.
Yeah.
And I was destroying myself.
No, that's
And
important.
so, yeah.
Realize your past mistakes. But I think it's quite profound that, you're not blaming the police or the courts for your.
But they made mistakes. But
I'm not saying they
yeah,
didn't make mistakes, but what I'm saying is that the overall feeling I'm getting for you is you made mistakes. You own those mistakes, and the times that they came or you got charged was because of things you'd done. Now there was mistakes made and there was overforce at times, but the fact that you're owning, this is, is important. I think it's helping your healing as well.
Yeah, it's one of the things I tell my guys when we're going through Tim Hortons. Whenever the police pull behind you, whatever, you make sure you always pay for your food every time.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that's good too, because they see resurrection trucks. Maybe, you're going a little fast and they'll just blink the lights and give you a break. Pay for their coffee. You know what I mean? I'm not mad with them.
No, and they've got a tough job too. I don't know. I've got a few friends that are police officers, and I can tell you that I don't envy their jobs. Dealing with not only are they dealing with criminals, but all the mental health issues and the other things that they have to pick up. All those extra things that aren't really in their job description to deal with. I mean, it can't be easy.
And they're dealing with criminal and mental health when they were dealing with me. Because many times police officers, and I had this thing that I would say, I was a little bit bigger and full of steroids. So and my mind was just, they would show up, and then sometimes they show up be one cop, and they changed that after a while. It had to be at least two cops, and they would call for backup. But I would tell them, where you taking me to? You interested me? You better call for help. And then I would wait until they called for help, and then I would go with them. Just being ignorant.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So just ignorant, wasting the court's time and money.
But how do you feel about racism? Obviously, I don't think we've touched on that subject yet, but is growing up dealing with it or not? I mean, you growing up in a predominantly black community, and then how do you feel like things are today versus yesterday?
Yeah, I do still feel racism, and right now I try to overcome it with being more excellent. If I do a job for you and you recommend me to somebody else, the chances are you guys not going to discuss my skin complexion. You're going to know the work I done. So when I show off for people like that you recommend it, no, they don't even care if I'm black because they know the work I can do. But when I'm show up with some customers and I show up and they see I'm a black guy, I can feel the tension. You know, I can feel that they're asking me extra questions,
Yeah.
extra stuff that don't even pertain to the job. You know, but that's fine. But I answer them the best I can, and I give them a quote. But I also know I have to be very mindful if I get that job because they're looking at me. They're looking at me. So that's why I'm very about carrying up, about cleaning up, about safety and all that stuff, and that we're dressed right and all this stuff. And because not that I need to prove anything to anybody, but I do.
Yeah,
Because there is a history of stuff and there's a mindset. And if I can break that in somebody else that they got it wrong because of my color of my skin, then I'm willing to be the one to say, let them know they're wrong. These guys are excellent. But the next guy may come behind me and he's a white guy or a Chinese guy. They may be like, but I do find that Caucasian guys do get a lot away with stuff more than us black guys do. Companies, we clean up the side of the street all the time. We don't leave no mess on the street. And I see some Caucasian companies, I'm saying, what? How are they not being called on? And as soon as we do one thing or leave one shovel, that somebody's calling. So that has to be some kind of ignorance behind that. Really some kind of ignorance behind that. And so the way for me to avoid that is just to be better, to know it's there, and not to be surprised when they do call. But when they come, be nice to the person that show up. Yeah, we'll get that. We'll move the truck from the fire hydrant. We just had it there for a minute because there's nowhere to park. Just to use my words and not sometimes not what I really feel. Because the policeman that's showing up, he's not the problem. It's the one that made the phone call. And they're not the one that just want to see you get in trouble.
There are ignorant people regardless out there, and people who like to create problems. And certainly, you know, I've dealt with fair share myself, you know, running my business. But, you know, just, I can't imagine the extra weight that you would carry. But, you know, I think, as you said, use your words, try to be kind, make sure you're clean and above reproach is a great place to start, regardless of who you are or what you are. I think that just helps everybody, but there are just people that are on, you're unable to make them satisfied regardless of what you're doing. But say your guys have always excellent regardless of, you know, color, skin, or culture, anything like that. Like, I've never had a problem and never expect to be a problem, like I say. Have you felt like it's improved, like over the years since you were younger to now, or is it about the same? Or
I can only say it's improved for me. Okay. I don't know what anybody else is dealing with.
That's a fair statement.
And I've learned to deal with people because I kind of sense things, and I know I'm here to do a job. I'm not here to become your best friend. We don't always end in relationships like this. We don't always become friends. But I'm here to do a job, and I'm expected to get it done a certain way and get it done. And that's what they want me to do. And when things go wrong, and I'm always say, okay, what do you want me to do? Yeah. And then they come up with something that's not right. Okay, so how about I'll do it this way, and just find a solution to get it done. And for me, that's going the extra mile, but I have to. Because sometimes it's just really, a lot of times it's easy to stop the argument. How do I get done? It's going to cost me extra $200, $300 to get this done. And then they're going to remember how I dealt with them. Yeah. And mostly at the end of every job, people, even if there was problems and the thing that we ironed it out, they're usually pretty happy with us.
That's good.
How we dealt with it.
I think that's a good attitude, you know, over and above, you know, the pressure that you feel. But yeah, it's a load to carry. I can only imagine. Yeah. I want to ask you a personal question. You asked me to come in here and interview you, and I feel very privileged to be able to do that. But you know, again, we've only known each other for 2 years now, a little over 2 years. You would have a lot of people, you know, friends and family or people in your community that I would think would do a better job, or maybe you'd feel more comfortable with. You know, I'm curious why you asked me, someone who's comes from essentially a different place than you.
Yeah, that your answer's right there, because I'm going to a different place, and look at the job you're doing. Look at the way you're carrying yourself. Look at the way you're asking me the questions, and I've seen your demeanor around people, I felt safe. I feel I could be safe with you.
Oh, thank you.
That you would treat me right. And I know I was going to be sharing things, and I didn't want to share things with someone that was going to make me feel stupid or try to put me down for the things I'm saying. But you would be the person that I was expecting you to be, and I couldn't see anybody else that I know right now present that could do this with me the way you're doing it.
Well, that's wow. That's a bigger answer than I anticipated. Like I say, I mean, we come from different places, and to be asked to do this and to feel that way about, me and my demeanor and how I manage things is, well, thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Similar to that question I was going to ask you is, again, how would your friends and your peers and your family feel about, again, me being here? Will they feel like, are you, not asking the right person to take on this task?
I think if they are my friends, they're going to see what I see. And for my family, not asking some of them, but asking someone, from a different background, they're going to see the importance of it. They might even see some of the things I needed in the past and I still need.
Yeah.
I need real people around me. I need people that I can aspire not to be like, but to learn things from and be better, because I want to be a better person. I don't want to be the person I used to be. So to get around someone that I can learn from means a lot to me. Thank you.
It's okay, Robert. Okay, man. It's okay to let it. You've said a lot today.
I think we've come to the end.
Well, I got one more question for you. I'm going to ask you this because I am really curious. What do you want your legacy to be? What do you want to leave behind?
I want to build enough business and finances so that my kids can have, and my grandkids can have better choices, not just choices that lead them to have to dig in the ground and work with their hands. That if they want to go to school, that the finances are there. And I want my children to say that they had a good day.
Well, Robert, I think you're in a good place now. I appreciate you asking me to come on and being real, as you say, your base talks, your real talks. I mean, you shared a lot, so the fact that you feel comfortable sharing those with me is, I feel very privileged. So thank you.
Thank you. I don't think you want to wait my snotty hands. But.
That's okay, Robert. I know where those hands have been most of the time.
I love you, buddy, and all I can do is give you love. You gotta make them hard choices for yourself. Them hard choices. You gotta tell yourself that's enough. You gotta tell yourself, no. You gotta tell yourself I quit. You gotta tell yourself you gotta be your own boss. You gotta be your own boss. You gotta be your own boss.
I feel you, man. Listen, thanks for the talk, bro. I appreciate it. I'll see you soon, okay?
Thanks for calling me, man.
No, thank you. All right, man.